Hello and welcome to ZigWheels. We're on the beautiful island of Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands, and we are here at the circuit of Maspalomas, where we had our first ride on the new Ducati Hypermotard 950. Also, we had a ride on its more extreme sibling, the SP. But first, let's talk about this one. So, what has changed from the 939 to the 950? Well, I think the bigger changes have been to how the bike looks. Now you get this sort of new, more aggressive front end from the bike with LED DRLs, and the new snout has been redesigned. So overall, the aggression on the motorcycle has gone up a notch compared to the 939, and I think now, in my opinion, it looks like a proper supermoto motorcycle. And of course, the other big changes are in the ergonomics. So if you look at the seat, so the seat on the 939, well, it sort of had it ended early, and the tank had a sort of little more sharpish rake up, and it had a curve up for the pillion seat. Now if you look at this seat, it is almost a single line from the tank till the tail. So this is much more like a proper supermoto. So when you are riding this bike and you go hard on the brakes, you're going to slide up front, load the front up. When you gas the bike, you're going to move to the back and sort of load up the rear. So in that regard, it feels like a proper supermoto. Other changes, of course, are also to the handlebars, which are now slightly wider compared to the 99 to give you that little bit more aggressive posture like a proper supermoto. And in visuals, now there's one change, that is the dashboard. Now this is a full color TFT, very similar to what you get on the Panigale, though it's comparatively much smaller, and it has an access to all the suite of information, so you can access your riding modes. Pretty much everything can be accessed from this menu right here using this switch gear. Now coming to the engine, now this 937cc L-twin motor is been carried over from the 939, and there's not much changes here compared to the previous bike. Now what Ducati has done is the ECU is been retuned, the exhaust valve timing has been changed as well, and of course they have changed the compression ratio. It's now been bumped up. So in terms of power and torque, it's not a huge change compared to the previous bike. So it still makes about 114 PS, which is 4 PS more than the previous bike, and now the torque has gone up by 1 Nm as well. But the bigger change here is that 82% of this torque, this peak torque, is available right from 3000 RPM onwards, and almost 88% of that torque is available up to 6000 RPM. So in that sense, you can be in any gear at any RPM, and the bike has plenty of grunt. Other changes now here also are done to the chassis. So there's been some slight weight reduction. The chassis design is still carried over. It's still a terrace frame, but with some slight weight savings here. So the total curb weight of the bike has gone down by about 4 kilos. So but it's still a heavy bike on that sense, but because the curb weight is a little over 200 kilos. But the main thing is that it is a very narrow motorcycle. So when you are riding it, you don't feel that weight at all. And of course, again, with the seat, the changes have been to the middle part of the seat, so it's now much narrower. So even though it has a fairly intimidating seat height of 850 mm on the standard bike, it's a little easier to get your feet down. That said, short riders are still going to suffer. It's not an easy bike to climb on or off. In terms of braking hardware, you have Brembo monoblocks. No, these are not the M50s, but these are the M432s. So 320 mm discs up front, 4-pot calipers. The big change here, of course, has been the master cylinder. It's now radial as standard. So now you get a lot better feel from the brakes. So personally, on our ride, I felt that the initial travel of the brakes still didn't have all that much feel. So you had to kind of pump the brakes a little bit to get a strong bite whenever you wanted to. But apart from that, when you do go hard on the brakes, there is plenty of bike, and the bike wants to stop really fast. So on that sense, the brakes really do a very good job. One big upgrade to this bike has been the electronics package. Now everything, the traction control, the wheelie control, the ABS, it's all branded Evo. And when Ducati says Evo, they mean it's got a 6-axis IMU. So it's actually measuring the bike's orientation in 6 axis. So it's pitch, roll, yaw, and then it will set the parameters of the ABS, of the traction control, of the wheelie control accordingly. So in that sense, it's also got cornering ABS, and overall the electronics work really well. So even with the electronics dialed back quite a bit in sport mode. So I think we had the wheelie control set to like about 2 out of 8 options. We had the traction control set to about 2 out of 8, and the bike still felt very easy to control. And when you set the ABS to level 1, that is the least intrusive ABS before it can be switched off. So at level 1 you also have a feature called slide to brake, so you can basically use the rear brake to slide the bike into turns, to back it into corners. So again, a true supermoto in that sense. Now tires as standard are Pirelli Rosso Diablo 3s on the normal bike, on the normal 950, and these provide great grip on the road. We had a ride of about 130 kilometers in the day today, and these tires held up really well on these sort of nice tight twisty roads. Now of course we also had a chance to ride the SP on this track here. Now we don't have an SP at hand immediately, but what's changed on the SP primarily is a little more weight reduction, because it's got some carbon fiber parts. It's about a couple of kilos lighter than the standard bike, and the main difference is in the suspension. Now the front forks are Marzocchi's, which can be adjusted. They have adjustment here, while the rear monoshock is a Sachs monoshock on the regular bike. However, on the SP it gets fully adjustable Öhlins at both ends, and what they, apart from giving you more control over how the bike rides and how the bike feels in the corners, they also increase the ride height by a little bit. So the seat height goes up from 850 to 870 millimeters, and even the cornering clearance goes up from 40 degrees to 44 degrees. So that is essentially meant for track use primarily, and even that setup is definitely a lot stiffer compared to this. Now of course we didn't encounter bad roads per se, so can't really comment on how this will handle bad roads, but the standard suspension handled things very well. The ones on the SP, well, on the track they were just incredible. And of course the SP also gets the Ducati quick shifter Evo, so even that's an IMU based quick shifter for both up and down gear shifts, and that works like an absolute charm. So you can be leaned over and downshift, and it will just like give you a smooth downshift without the back end stepping out whatsoever. So anyway, that is the Hypermotard 950, the new one. We are going to have a full ride report of this pretty soon. It will go up in a few days, so do check that out. As for when it launches in India, well, we expect this to come to India in the next few months, maybe 4 to 5 months. And as for pricing, well, no official word from Ducati as of yet, but we expect the price to be somewhere in the region of about 12.5 lakh rupees, which is quite a bit for the normal edition. And for the SP, well, that bike will be a direct import coming from Italy, so expect that to be much more expensive. There is some rumor that it will be twice as expensive as this bike, so well, that remains to be seen. But anyway, that's about it from our first look at the new Hypermotard 950. Do stay tuned for our full road test and full first ride report coming out very soon.